Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Season 1, Episode 21. I don't know what to expect this episode. Just kidding. I imagine it's going to be a fight between the two parties of Frieren, Levine, Kane, Denkin, Richter, and Laufen, right?
Yes. But I am very scared for one of those kind of halves of the battle.
I'm assuming the Levine Kane, right?
Richter. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna kill these two. Like, BRB, let me earthbend up into the stratosphere and separate the battlefield.
See, my only concern within that battle at the moment, because I feel through Frieren, if Frieren's not concerned, I shouldn't be. That being said, Frieren might not have realized what we are thinking the barrier might come into play in terms of, like, height. Like, I'm wondering how tall this land is going to get throughout this battle, because if one of us leaves the field, we're done.
We did talk about that a bit after last episode about using that as another trick or way to disqualify. We get the idea of obviously like stealing other people's stills and maybe if I kill one of you, then your whole team can't advance. What if one of you leaves the arena?
You ready?
Yeah. I'm nervous.
I'm excited.
I'm excited, but
if it's nervous. A fight, we get animation. And if it's animation and it's Frieren's animation, that means good.
And also magic fight. Better.
Sweet.
Oh, I love that sound effect.
Yeah, that's great. Oh! Oh? What?
I didn't know they've met before in kind of this context.
Wow. Ah!
See, I was gonna go more like childhood friends or something.
The world of magic.
Open my eyes to the world of magic, Frieren. What a nice angle choice there of showing his hand go to the ground.
There's no way it reaches the top of the barrier.
Yeah,
there's
no way.
Fucking way.
I am scared of him. Not because I think he's like really strong, but searching for it.
Oh! How old are you?
Flame's so proud.
This girl's no good after all.
You can't imagine yourself living in a peaceful era.
God.
Good answer.
This is how mages ought to be.
Imagine being in a battle and someone just says weak.
Relatively non-lethal.
歴史は攻撃と防御の歴史だ。だから現代の攻撃魔法は操るものが主流になる。
Oh! It looked like Kane got a piece of it, right?
物質による圧倒的な質量。
Oh.
そのまま眠っていろ。勘弁してくれ。痛めつける趣味はない。
用意に近づいていいのかよ。人の体の6割は水でできてんだぜ。
魔法というのはイメージの世界だ。水が配分されているのか想像できるのか。取り出して操るイメージは
She can.
大量の魔力に守られている魔法使い合い。イメージできないものは魔法では実現できない。こんな小娘は脅威でも何でもない。
二人も聞かねえのか。嫌な大人だぜ。でも一つ分かったことがある。てめえ公爵垂れるほどの戦い好きなら私たちを叩きのめしているはずだ。何をそんなに怖い。
Oh, shit.
俺の役目はお前たちを寝かしつけることだ。剣が負けない限りはな。
As long as Denkin doesn't lose.
このままでは魔力悪いが早めに決着をつけるぞ。フリーレン、ルドゴーゼン。
Tornado.
オスドルグ。
Fire tornado. Wow.
Will the barrier hold?
Yep, Sari's barrier. Oh, I hope Frieren fucking destroys
the idea
it.
of brute force magic.
I fucking hope
Wait, well, that was
Frieren
like a.
destroys it.
That would remind me of a rain droplet. What just happened? And then who would that help? Kane and Levine.
Woo! You're right, though.
'Cause
Destroy the
Richter was
barrier,
scared.
let in the water.
And Richter was scared. Why are you not fighting us by the water?
Oh my god.
Of course.
見習い魔法使いに対する指導試合ではないか。これほどの高みに来てまだ上がいるとはな。
ラオフェンの居場所を教えて。
お前がわしの立場だとして教えると思うか。
ラオフェン、近くに潜伏しているんでしょ。で、ここに来てデンケンを殺す。
よせ、ラオフェン。
じいさんがやられた。私よりも。いや。
Laufin couldn't survive in a fight.
じいさんの体には触れていない。
ベアは使うな。そのまま潜伏施設でも魔力を発すれば探知される。
じいさんを回収して逃げ
No,
られる。
listen to Denkin.
罠だ。
仕方がないか。痛くないんだけど。見つけた。
You fool. Oh.
So she can use it on them too, right?
じいさんが死なない程度には痛めつけるつもりだったよ。なんでそこまでして一級魔法使う。
わしの故郷は北部高原の奥地でな。暴れたせいで今じゃ一級魔法使いしか入れない。
Wow.
久々に墓参りに行きたかった。
Oh, the idea of visiting a.
Accompany him, please. Frieren.
もう遅いかもしれんがな。
カンネたちが勝つ。
Fucking do it. Fucking do it, Frieren.
電源がやられるとはな。昨日森はもう終わりだ。
結界解析
The song. What the fuck?
破られる。
全然あのエルフの魔法使いが何者だ。
名簿によると名はフリーレン。彼女は正常の証を持っていたらしい。
Just pulls out the umbrella.
最後の大魔法使いか。
くれたなフリーレン
Oh.
全年ぶりだというのに
This
This
is how you say hello.
Oh my god.
魔法使いはやめられない天地がひっくり返ることもある
And that's exactly what Genna said wouldn't happen. The world.
結界を破壊するとはな。
こんなことを
カンネがかわいそうだった
You
からね
fucking
Without water.
dumbass loser.
Magic should
Magic
be
should be
free.
する
free.
魔法使いか。
ここはイメージの世界だ
Oh.
水を操る魔法使いに雨の中少なくとも私はできない
Oh.
Richter! Oh!
会話。いや、状況確認など後回しだ。
Into the wet ground.
Oh my god.
隙を見せやがったなうるぜ
この程度の時間稼ぎ。
You look
今なら
so dumb.
お前が水物質による圧倒的な質量攻撃その
Look at Kane up there.
逃がさないようにね
Oh.
ビームストロー
Woo! She just throws
なん
it.
てないだろうが。
Oh.
水は嫌いなのだ。
勝てた
Aw.
みたいだね早くここから離れよう没まで2時間だけどそれまで
Frieren has the still, I think.
Yeah, it's on her back.
よく頑張った
Aw.
He washed up right next to them.
Aw, Decken has him in his legs.
高速を解けるか。
冗談だよこの高速
It's just gonna land on you.
なら木の方だ。
Bring down the tree instead.
のパーティーの戦闘の痕跡を探してたどるぞ。
ああんたほんとつまんないよねマジで基礎的な魔法しか使ってないじゃん魔法使えるの
服が透けて見える魔法とか
Uh-oh.
手の内はあまりさらさない点からは僕らは敵同士なんだからさ
でもメガネくんはもう少し打ち解けてもよかったと思うよ
You don't think Sari's ever taken on a pupil, do you? Like, there's no chance that Sari and Ubel were, like, trainer, right?
ここで待機だ。隙があればシュティレを奪え。ついてこい。
どうするつもりだもう魔力なんか残っちゃいないぞ
わかっているだろう。それは相手も同じこと。腹をくくれ。
Whew.
男だろうが。
冗談だろ
I don't think he's joking.
殴り合いじ
計6パーティー
18
18
Mm-hmm.
第二次試験は3日後だについては追って通達する解散2人が試験
Yes, Stark!
I miss Stark so much.
夜遅くまで起きていてもフェルンに
Oh no. Oh no.
But you miss her, right?
Sounds like you've got it rough, buddy.
And,
Okay, that was Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Season 1, Episode 21. I love the show so much. I say that every fucking week. I'm so
Probably.
annoying. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I feel so comfy being in this show's world and immersed in it and watching it every single week is something that I feel like I am gonna inevitably take for granted, and when it's gone, I'm gonna be like, what do I do now?
Bro, Denkin was like, we're all out of mana. We're just gonna beat the shit out of each other. Man, you know, okay.
Oh.
I want to say that it's around 13 minutes into the episode. We hear the reason that Denkin is going through with this.
Mhm.
And he's saying that his homeland is located deep in the northern plateau. And that the demons are acting up only first class mages can enter the area now, and he wants to visit somebody's grave. I'm like, fucking, if Denkin doesn't make it, we are accompanying him there. We are taking him there so we can... I wonder who it is, too.
Well, we know he has a chance now because they did get a still.
Yeah.
We don't know how the other tests are going to go. I imagine it's not like an only one person can become a first class mage. I would imagine it's just very hard for like a lot of people to get it. And obviously with 18 people who have passed this test, those numbers are definitely going to be whittled down more.
Yeah.
But there's hope here. It's not like only one person can have the spot at the top.
I know,
as far as we know at the moment.
I'm probably out of pocket, but I feel like only 1 or 2 people are going to get it. Like, I'm probably wrong, but...
It's not hard to believe that it could only be, like, it could be super limited because of the fact we've seen the people that are currently first-class mages, and there were only, like, 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Man.
maybe it is that only one person can do it, like, get it at the end. That would be wild.
I can't believe that Flame was trained by Sari. Like, I can totally believe it. I'm just stupid. Like...
I mean, I can believe it after hearing it, but I couldn't have guessed it prior.
I thought, for some fucking reason, I was like, oh yeah, for sure, like, Sari and Frieren are around the same age.
That's
like, even though that I had literally nothing to support that.
Yeah, why is it that I'm like, yeah, all elves are born at the same time? What sort of, like, thought process
I'm
is
not that way, but the lack of logic that I had, because of, like, the amount of years possible... will therefore differentiate how I would be capable of telling somebody's age based off of their appearance, right? Mm-hmm. And although I wasn't like, yeah, they were born the same year, I was like, okay, maybe within like a few hundred years from each other, and while that is still plausible, I don't find it to be the case. I just wonder how the fuck long Sari's been around. Obviously, last episode, we got, like, the comparisons to, like, the feeling of the closest living being to the goddess, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man.
I definitely went in my mind, like, obviously I wasn't like they were born at the same time. I was thinking that Sari was from Frieren's past, like, before Flame entered Frieren's story. That's what I was going with. Only because they were both elves, and we know that Frieren, like, originally lived amongst other elves before Flame, like, found her and she became her apprentice. So my line of thinking was like, oh, you know, that's where they knew each other. Back then, when Flame and Frieren, like, met, there were more elves. It wasn't the numbers that it is now. So, yeah, anyway, that did come as a surprise to me.
I love, like, the disposition that we got of Sari. Like, oh, yeah, she's strong, capable. And then, like, I'll give you anything that any one spell that you want. And Frieren's just like, nah, the joy comes in searching for the spells.
And she's like, this girl has no ambition.
I was
Get
wrong.
rid of her.
Take it back. And Flame's just smiling.
Yeah,
this girl's no good after all. Oh, she lacks a burning ambition. But I really liked what Flame said after this. Master, someday this girl will defeat the Demon King. Also, pause here. Like, I think that there's a wisdom. We've talked about it before with the show. Although, through elves and different races, you live much longer. But in that accelerated agent of being a human, I think you could make the argument that comes with, like, an acceleration of wisdom, too. And I feel like Flame is exhibiting that right now. Master, someday this girl will defeat the Demon King. It will be a mage like her who clears the way to a peaceful era. Flame reminds me of Himmel so much, like, too. Are you saying I cannot? As one who seeks battle, you cannot kill the Demon King. We can't do it. After all, you can't imagine yourself living in a peaceful era, can you? That's an interesting line.
Yeah. I think that one of the most interesting parts of this episode in terms of, like, what is being talked about, and it's like an overarching idea that's especially been coming up lately, the idea of, like, young versus old. It's obviously been a part of the show from the beginning, but recently with fighting Denkin has a lot of lines in regard to his age in comparison to his other kind of teammates,
Yeah.
Richter in particular. And I think that it's really cool that we have Denkin saying things like the young are so hot-blooded and ready to fight, and we get this, the oldest character that's ever been in this story is also one that is like wanting to battle and can't see themselves living in such like a peaceful era. That is really interesting to me, that it's like we're being given characters that view a distinction between young and old and how they think and feel, but that's really not there.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually exist in the way that they're putting forward. It's their like current subjective reality in terms of like the people they've come in contact with, but it's not like you can't put that as an overarching like title or tag on every single person or creature that lives in this world.
What do you think, like, is the reason characters like Sensei are able to deduce that somebody is analyzing the barrier? Like
Interesting. Could have something to do with a spell that
or like concentration
she knows.
of mana, or like I don't know.
Right. I mean, how is Frieren analyzing it? We talk a lot in this episode about magic being something that you heavily need to be able to like visualize in order to like execute. And with mana, we have a lot of characters in this whole kind of battle, this whole test, that it's the focus is really heavy on mana detection. And so what would it visually look like for Frieren to be analyzing the barrier? Is it like wisps kind of going around the barrier? Is it something that Sensei can kind of like almost sense and visualize moving within the barrier, touching the barrier walls? Like what would be what Sensei can sense in order to deduce that someone is analyzing the barrier? I'm really curious to try to understand that.
In terms of analyzing the barrier, I imagine it to be somewhat like similar to working backwards, like a math problem or equation. Like you're trying to understand the chemical makeup,
the foundation
and like the foundation of it to be able to then break it down, and to be able to even begin to understand it enough to break it down, you need to have the vast knowledge that Frieren already does. That makes a lot of sense to me. But like just the observation of Sensei, I'm like, holy shit, you're already like putting my preferred proctor up on a little bit of a pedestal than the first test proctor, by her
Genna
being
was like,
the one.
no one's gonna do it.
Yeah, and then
Silly
God
Genna.
fucking damn. What? This is a way to make a greeting for the first time in a
way
thousand
to say
years.
hello.
A way to say hello.
I mean, the fact, like, think about that. Like, this was literally your apprentice's apprentice. And they destroyed your barrier. What a, like, way to see the growth there. What a way to say hello. That was an amazing line. And I really liked that Sari, like, disagreed with Genna in that scene as well. So cool.
It's not a problem. It's impossible. Okay.
This is even if this is the line that Sari
even if the
disagreed
world
on.
were turned upside down and then boom. But I like the animation here of what Frieren's doing reminds me like going into fucking Photoshop and you're just picking whatever layer you're working on and clicking on like the layer options and you're going down to like different screen, you know, and like all the colors are getting fucking diffused and inverted like this shit. I love it.
Very cool effect.
We have a still frame of a partial goth Frieren, and I am here for it. It's so good, man. Look at that shit.
It's super cool. It's a super cool visual for magic. I mean, you have to have a super cool visual in terms of magic and magic fighting in an episode where we're bringing up again how visual mages have to be in terms of like utilizing magic and especially if they're utilizing physical things like water or the ground.
Man, we had a few lines about that as well, right? Here, let's back it up a little bit. I felt sorry for Kane. Magic should be free. Amazing line. She controls water, doesn't she? Magic is a world of visual imagination. Can you imagine defeating a mage who controls water in the rain?
No.
Fuck no,
and if Frieren goes, I can't.
Without getting into it, my favorite scene from Avatar: The Last Airbender is involving rain.
Okay.
And in that same vein, it's like, can you fucking imagine somebody who can control the water and the rain? No, you fucking can't. And like, even going back to earlier in the episode, when we're talking about when Levine is talking about like, oh yeah, like, don't you know that like 60% of your body's made up of water? And we're kind of like getting closer and closer to this idea that potentially Kane can control the water with inside his body, Richter's body. Like, I'm like, holy shit. Are they going to do it? Are they going to let Kane try to manipulate the water with inside of his body? And they don't do it. And they touch on that visualization idea again. And I get that they don't do it, and I get why she couldn't do it. But bringing that up in such a world does leave that on the table for me.
I think it does. I think you'd have to be, like, studying that specific... In the same way that demons pick a spell and they just, like, go hardcore in terms of studying it and perfecting it and making it their own. I mean, think of, like, as Richter said, you would just have to have a really, really good understanding of how the water moves and looks within the body to be able to do something like that. And I think that that does leave it on the table as something that is possible, because there's this idea of, like, imagination, but also, like, visually being able to actually see things. You know, some things
I
go hand in
really
hand
love
there.
Levine and Kane, and although part of me is like, well, I don't know if they deserve to become first-class mages in their own right yet. I would love for them to, but I imagine after this, you know, this specific exam, we might split up into individuals and like individual battles or assignments, and that makes me a little worried for their own safety and their own progress in the tests.
I don't know how this show... Obviously, the show was willing to kill people that we didn't know.
Yeah.
By monsters in the sky. And obviously, we start Frieren off with a death, with Himel's death. But I can't really totally picture the show literally, like, killing one of these characters that we've kind of been more introduced to.
That isn't Aura the Guillotine, you know?
Yeah, that isn't like a demon. That is like this one of these human mages that we're meeting in this test. I have a hard time viewing the show killing, or like imagining the show killing one of them within this test, which is only just me being in a world where for the most part Frieren is a very like cozy show. And it's maybe wishful thinking. I mean, I remember how jarring it was to actually see that there were dead bodies in this first test from the monsters in the sky. So it could just be like a wishful thinking.
We've had a lot of characters like die within world, but nobody's been like close enough to in our party. We've seen like what's happened with Stark's family and, you know, and Frieren's family. And Fern's parents, and Fern almost killing herself. But like, I get what you mean, that nothing has been severe in that close
like mage
range
against
of...
like if we do a mage against mage battle in some other form, or do a one-on-one later on in a certain test. We've seen, obviously we've talked about, there are other shows that have done tests and exams in a similar format of like, oh, proctors to an exam. And then a lot of those, there's eventually a one-on-one fight. And characters do die in some of those other shows that do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or get seriously gravely injured. And so it is in the cards and it is possible. And I really feel like, I really like Kane and Levine, but I don't think it's their time to become first-class mages in terms of like scaling and power scaling here, as it is not Richter's time. It is not Loffin's time. Even Loffin's is like...
pretty fucking cool though.
Loffen seemed to be like, I am not about to let someone die or get gravely injured. I'd rather lose. Like,
Denkin was like, don't do it. And Loffin's like, I don't know. I probably could do it. And like, doesn't say anything out loud. And Denkin's like, don't fucking do it. And Loffin's like, I think I might be. Don't fucking, if you do it for a second, she's gonna catch you. And then it's like, okay, I'm gonna do it instantly.
Loffin's line was something like, yeah, I knew she wasn't gonna kill you, but she was really gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that shows that like Loffin's like, I'm not about to like have anyone get gravely injured on my watch just for this like test. Like, and that's why she brings up, like, what are you wanting, Denkin, out of getting the first class mage title? Obviously, Loffin's young. Like, Loffin can take this exam again in the couple years before it's, like, given again. Denkin is older. He has all of these things within his grasp already. You know, what could he be doing this for? And he might have more of some of the people that are taking this test might have more of an urgency. Like, we did get the idea that some of these spells and these grimoires could cure diseases. Like, some of these people probably really have an urgency to try to get first class mage status.
Yeah. Man, we got to see Frieren use the binding spell on people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, we were wondering if that was going to be like a through line of difference in between what Warbel was capable of and Frieren, based off of whether that binding spell could just be used on birds or people. And we got the idea that Warbel wasn't able to do it without the eyesight of it. And I was so like curious to see the outcome of that, and just casually Frieren does it.
Casually, and then can walk away and not be looking at you anymore.
Yeah.
And you have to cut down the tree.
Bro,
because
you don't have enough mana. Yeah.
I mean, Denkin might have been able to undo it if he had mana, but Loffin was the only one left with mana out of the three.
What do you think the next test is gonna be? Like, we got, like, for evidence for prediction, we got Zenzei's like interpretation of what this test is and their reaction to it. I'm hoping that it's something more like that's not like there's one way to beat this, but it depends on your innovation and how much experience you have in problem solving. Like, imagine like a clear magical ice cube with a statue in the middle, and it's like, okay, everyone has 12 hours to get the statue out of the magical ice cube. Mm-hmm. And like people are trying like fire to try to melt it, but it won't melt. And then they're trying like different iterations of flames or explosions to try to get it open, or trying to use like all these different iterations of magic to try to break down what this initial barrier or ice cube was made out of, to try to I hope it's like that kind of thing.
Like Sensei, I think her line about what Genna's test was like it was a battle masquerading as like a mana detection test.
Yeah.
And so I do think that her test will not be something that is like life-threatening, but it will be more focused on actually using your magic in order to solve something or do something, and not something that you'd be competing with your own prowess, and not like the ability to steal someone else's answers to the test, if you know what I mean.
A maze could be cool. Like if you did like a huge maze and you had different routes consisting of different types of like mana trails, and it would be like, ooh, this one's the faintest, so I'm gonna follow that, but that could actually be a red herring, and it's like you need to know like a specific like intention of what like if that mana was put down as a trap or not.
Like there are a lot of ideas that could come up with go with mana detection, like obviously like tracking something could be cool, like tag but with mana detection, but I feel like the second test is not going to involve that because the first test did. So I think it's going to be much more focused on your unique spell being able, or your kind of, as Frieren has like a bunch of spells, and as we bring up, perfect. Land, Ubel, and Fern are talking about what other
things
spells that Fern has, and how she has all these unique ones, and Land goes, oh no, like don't be like showing your complete hand right now.
Yeah.
And that totally brings up the idea that like Fern and Frieren might be lucking out in comparison to some of the other mages, because a lot of these other mages seem to have like a one particular spell that is their thing. Like for Loffin, it's like Lewer or something like that it's called. And obviously Richter uses like earth, Kane with the water. But Frieren and Fern have like this almost infinite, not infinite, knowledge of all these other different weird spells that could totally help them if it's like you need to solve this problem with whatever means you have in your arsenal.
Yeah, even like I can think of a couple different other ideas. Like one is like a Pokemon beauty contest. Like you could use like magic or spells to try to make the most captivating like, performance, or a talent show like America's Got Talent, X Factor type beat, or do something more like based in humanity. Play a game of poker, but you're able to use magic to win as long as like you don't get caught in a certain way.
I thought of another based in humanity one, but it's like based in real world. The boat building contests, when people build like little boats.
Yeah. Man, are there any like real throwbacks that we could get into in terms of early episodes of Frieren that could come back and like in a type of test? Whether it's like pulling a sword out of a stone or like cleaning up clutter on a beach, I don't know.
Fern brings up the one spell that's going to help them the most. It's being able to see through clothes.
Hey man, what did Frieren say? Like you're able to see if a enemy is concealing a weapon.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, that's what got me to the poker idea.
If they were in a team setting still, Ubel and Land knowing that Fern could do that could be something that they would then ask Fern to do.
Man.
And, well, maybe that's why they had to pass as teams. Because it like you couldn't pass if one of your people lost. If one of your people died. So why do you need that like certain number of pass? No, you wouldn't. It's whoever passes, but we still need the teams to be intact. Was that just another fact to make that
I think
test
it was another
harder?
fact.
Or is it something that you need your teams going forward?
I think that could potentially been of what Sensei said about it being like masqueraded as something else, because it's like an underlying message could have been received as, oh, that's the easiest way. Kill a member of each team, I am so fucking excited to see what the next test is going to be. Like I have no great actual guesses, just like ideas.
Don't either. I like Sensei's character design. She's my favorite.
Oh, for sure.
And then she pulled out the umbrella as soon as it started to rain. And I just love that she knew that this was going to happen. She seems like, I like her a lot better than Genna. Genna did not win points with me.
In my mind, this bartender 1,000% thinks that Stark is married to Fern. Yeah. He's like, oh man, you have it real rough, buddy. I thought that Fern was going to like go in there and pull Stark out at the end.
Because we get the idea that they have like a couple days before the next test. So I did think that like Stark was there because they've returned and he was like, oh, I'm going to get away from them. Or maybe we start next episode off with them being together and we catch Stark up on like what he's missed out on. But anyway, my highlight of this episode is that line, that whole sequence of Frieren analyzing and then destroying the barrier.
Definitely.
And then Ceri's line of "It's been 1,000 years and this is how you say hello." That was my highlight of this episode.
And the animation is phenomenal, but I like it being tied together with like moments like that, like great fucking lines of dialogue being delivered after it, is like what's really shining for me in this like later half of the first season of Frieren. I feel like the writing's gotten stronger and stronger. All right, that's all I have you.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.